Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for attending tonight's hearing about bus rapid transit on two important corridors here in the county, Maryland Route 355 and Veers Mill Road. Tonight, we seek your comments on two decisions before the committee, which alternative we should choose for BRT on Route 355 and which BRT corridor, or both, we should vote to fund for preliminary engineering. The committee vote will happen on July 25th. The Montgomery County Department of Transportation has identified for alternatives for BRT on Route 355, known as alternatives A, B, B modified, and C. The alternatives each have an assortment of BRT features to help buses bypass traffic, such as dedicated lanes, signal priority, and queue jumps. We want to hear from you about alternatives that you think are best for this corridor. On Veers Mill Road, the council in 2017 decided on a BRT alternative that will create a dozen queue jumps for buses to bypass traffic congestion between Rockville and Wheaton. DOT is requesting $1 million to begin preliminary engineering on this alternative. And on Maryland 355, DOT is requesting $3 million to advance the chosen alternative to preliminary design. If approved by the council, the funding for preliminary design of either or both corridors would be a supplemental appropriation to the FY20 capital budget and amendments to the FY19 to 24 capital improvements program paid for with development impact taxes. So with that, let me call up for agenda item 11, supplemental appropriation amendment to the FY20 capital budget and FY19 to 24 capital improvements program, $3 million for bus rapid transit, Maryland 355. The first speaker, let me call up Jane Lyons, Gerald Ehrenstein, Amy Ginsberg, Margaret Shope, David Sears, and Peter Katz. Terrific. Jane, please proceed.
All right. Jane Lyons, Coalition for Smarter Growth. I'll be testifying on both Maryland 355 and Veers Mill. So Chair Hucker and council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. The Coalition for Smarter Growth supports a robust bus rapid transit system on Maryland 355 and in the Veers Mill corridor. For Maryland 355, we urge the council to recommend alternative B, which is dedicated median BRT lanes, and to incorporate alternative C, dedicated curb BRT lanes, in the southernmost segment in Bethesda. Median bus lanes are the gold standard for BRT, producing the highest ridership, frequency, and reliability. These are the characteristics that will make BRT a choice mode for current transit riders, as well as to attract new riders. Given the high ridership projections, economic development potential, and the long-standing support from community groups and business leaders, we also believe that Segment 2 in White Flint and Twinbrook should be included in the first construction phase, followed quickly by the segments north of Shady Grove. Prioritizing White Flint and Twinbrook will serve the most riders, as well as help spur anticipated investment and business development greatly needed by the county that will not occur without significant transit upgrades. However, Alternative B does not offer dedicated BRT lanes south of Tuckerman Lane to the Bethesda Metro Station, which is known as Segment 1. We prefer all-day dedicated curb lanes in both directions for this section, but would also accept the Alternative C recommendation for a peak direction only lane as an initial phase. High-quality bus transit access to the job centers located along this corridor into Bethesda is critical. Any segment with dedicated curb lanes will require regular enforcement to ensure that cars do not use the lanes and slow down the BRT service. Regarding the alignment of the northernmost segment through Clarksburg, we recommend the Snowden Farm Parkway alignment since it is the only option that doesn't require a road extension or widening, has the most potential for transit-oriented development, and is the only option that offers access to a grocery store. In addition to favoring median BRT lanes, we strongly encourage and prefer the conversion of existing travel lanes to bus rapid transit lanes in order to save time and right-of-way acquisition costs. We also concur with the Planning Board recommendation to initiate further service planning and network redesign to effective to ensure effective integration of bus rapid transit and local ride-on service. Effectively integrating bus rapid transit with local service will help to maximize ridership, increase accessibility, and affordability. The county should also plan for improved bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure near future BRT stations. Pending construction, the county must continue to invest in streetscape enhancements, off-peak street parking, safer pedestrian crossings, and sidewalk and bikeway improvements along 355. These are urgent and necessary in order to meet mobility, Vision Zero, emission reduction, as well as economic development goals. Finally, we strongly urge the preliminary engineering advance concurrently for both the entire Veers Mill BRT project and Maryland 355. The Veers Mill corridor has the highest ridership of any bus route in the state of Maryland, and current transit service does not meet that high demand. There is an equity and social mobility issue at stake as well. Nearly 10% of the corridor lives below the poverty line, 22% do not speak English proficiently, and half of households have one or fewer cars. Veers Mill BRT is an important step towards bridging the east-west economic divide and should not be delayed any further. In fact, given the urgency to change course and fight climate change, the county and state should place both the entire 355 and Veers Mill BRT projects on a fast track. Thank you for your time.
Terrific. Thank you. Gerald Ehrenstein. Can you touch the button at the base of your mic, please?
My name is Gerald Ehrenstein, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the group called MC Facts, which is Montgomery County Faith Alliance for Climate Solutions. And this group is particularly concerned about moral issues. It's composed of about 40 different congregations representing Buddhist, Catholic, Hindu, Humanist, Islamic, Jewish, Protestant, Sikh, Society of Friends, and Unitarian congregations. And the thing that brings us all together is that all these groups are very concerned about the moral issues of what kinds of issues we have to hand down to our children. The most important one, and that the name of our group, in fact, is about climate solutions, because that seems to us to be not only important, but absolutely crucial. And in order to do that, the most straightforward method, of course, is to limit the emission of greenhouse gases. And again, it's not a simple thing. There are a myriad of possibility of different mechanisms that we could use to do that. But in view of your concern tonight about BRT, that seems to us to be a particularly effective way of functioning. One of the things that was studied by the SAIC about reducing the number of cars on the road was that for every individual who would trade in his car use for public transit, the overall household carbon footprint would be reduced by about 25% for that family. So this is not just a small effect, it's a significant effect. And so that led us to decide that this was a crucial part of our suggestion in terms of how we should meet our obligations about climate change. Now, in considering this, though, it's important to look at the big picture. What are some of the pluses and minuses of the BRT other than simply the climate change issue? Not simply, but majorly the climate change issue. Now, as has just been discussed, the BRT provides a particularly effective way of moving people, and I'm not going to address that. We haven't studied the details. But what we have focused on is how important it is and what other advantages there are of providing public transit. Remember now that taking cars off the road will, in addition to the climate effect, will also reduce air pollution and reduce traffic congestion. And one of the benefits of that is not only, remember that we live in a very rapidly increasing population area, and in the absence of making improvements in public transit, our air quality will deteriorate as well as our traffic congestion. And furthermore, the traffic congestion has a double advantage, because what happens if you reduce the amount of idling because of traffic congestion, you have an additional saving of gasoline and hence an even further reduction of greenhouse gas. In fact, the SAIC study showed that the effect compared to the individual effect of individual commuters was actually doubled because of the improvement as a result of the lessening of congestion. And our group of these many congregations is also concerned with another moral issue, the significant income inequality in our country overall, and particularly in our county. Many reasons, but one reason is that poor people often do not have adequate transportation to take advantage of opportunities for better jobs. We need more and better transportation, and BRT is an effective way to provide it. I've listed a number of pluses. About the only minus is that this is going to cost some money. However, considering the many pluses of BRT, we think the cost benefit is extremely favorable. So in summary, BRT addresses several of our county's most serious problems: reduce greenhouse gas emission, reduce air pollution, reduce traffic congestion, and also promote economic advancement. It's a very good investment.
Thank you, Mr. Ehrenstein. Amy Ginsberg.
Good evening. I'm speaking on behalf of Friends of White Flint, a nonprofit organization composed of businesses, residents, and property owners, all dedicated to turning the White Flint Pike District area into a walkable, transit-oriented, vibrant community. First, we strongly urge the Council to appropriate the money that would allow MCDOT to move forward with the design of BRT. BRT on Route 355 is essential to fulfilling the promise of the White Flint Sector Plan. As a county, we have talked about Route 355 BRT for a decade, and it is time for action and implementation. Second, we strongly advocate that you choose Alternative B, which is BRT in the median, wherever possible, including in the White Flint segment. Third, the White Flint section has the highest levels of projected ridership and broad-based community support. This segment should absolutely be built first. So many site plans, residents, and businesses are counting on it. Only construction in the White Flint segment will do more than increase the numbers and comfort of riders. Building median BRT on the southern portion of Route 355 will spur tremendous economic development that is unlikely to happen without the long-promised BRT system, development the county very much needs. Fourth, BRT by itself is not enough. BRT is a critical tool, but it is only part of the solution. BRT must include a revitalized Route 355, turning it into a grand boulevard featuring broad sidewalks, separated bike lanes, and trees. Finally, first and last mile access must go hand in hand with the funding, designing, and building of bus rapid transit. The county cannot simply build BRT and hope they will come. Construction of easy-to-use, safe pedestrian paths and bikeways in the neighborhoods that abut Route 355 must be a formal part of this project from the start. Together, bus rapid transit, first and last mile access, and a Rockville Pike Grand Boulevard can transform the White Flint Pike District area, and we urge the Council to move forward with this appropriation so we can encourage redevelopment, offer residents a viable and dynamic transit option, and inspire businesses to locate in the Pike District. Thank you.
Thank you. Margaret Shope.
Good evening, Council. My name's Margaret Shope. I live in Germantown, and I am the organizer of the TAME Coalition. And we are united in our support for funding and building the bus rapid transit on State Route 355. TAME has advocated for BRT as one of several transit alternatives to Mid-County Highway Extended, M83, and we are very hopeful that this project will be funded in the Up-County to help relieve traffic congestion for our communities. We believe all of the points that have been made here, and so I want to make two different ones, add to them. 4 years ago, MCDOT presented a transit alternative supplemental report to their earlier Mid-County Corridor Study Report. TAME continues to support the MCDOT's first scenario 1 of that supplemental report, which is to build BRT on 355 combined with intersection improvements. And this scenario will meet the purpose and need of the original Mid-County Corridor study. It will also meet NEPA's requirement for finding the least environmentally damaging, practicable alternative. We are grateful for that. The last is I want to just address how BRT can help fulfill the climate emergency resolution that was passed last council. If we believe the times we are living in are a true climate emergency, then how serious might we act as a county and as a state? Would we place a moratorium on all new road construction, including roads like M83 and Observation Drive Extended that do not exist, which would take down high biodiverse forests? Would we require all new building construction be zero net energy design before issuing a building permit? If we are inclined to think that the climate change might pass us by because of those of us who are baby boomers and wouldn't live long enough, my daughter and her friends think differently. They are in their mid-20s, and what they have stated is, to my surprise, and they're not alone, that they have made a pact to not birth children until they know that change will secure their existence. They are in a woke group. I don't know how woke I am, but they woke me up. Montgomery County needs to step up to the plate and commit to funding and building M80. It's on my mind. Don't build that. That woke you up? Don't do that. But build BRT on 355.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Amen.
David Sears.
Hi, good evening, council members and Chairman Hucker. I'm here to speak in support of funding the full $3 million in the CIP to enable the expeditious design and implementation of BRT on Route 355. I'm also here to remind you that the important middle name here is RAPID. To assure that we are not deceiving riders, we must build BRT on dedicated lanes so that the buses can be truly rapid. Let me explain the Sierra Club's rationale for our strong support of BRT on 355 as well as on Veers Mill and Route 29 and in fact the entire countywide network. Sierra Club's highest priority is addressing climate change and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. In this county, transportation is the #2 contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. In spite of what you might have heard from Governor Hogan, the way forward is not to build more lanes for cars. Rather, to address climate change and to address traffic congestion, we need to work hard to give residents and workers more and better opportunities to get where they want and need to go without getting in the car and driving. Given human nature, folks are not going to get out of their cars unless we can provide other options to get places in a safe, efficient, and comfortable manner. A comprehensive approach will upgrade our county and regional transportation system in terms of transit, bicycling, and walking. BRT can and should be part of this equation. In a few minutes, you're going to hear my colleague Tina Slater, who's our Sierra Club Transportation Chair, urging you to move forward quickly with BRT on Veers Mill. Likewise, it is critical to also provide the $3 million in CIP funding for BRT on Route 355. We need to move on the design and implementation of both these routes simultaneously. And let me remind you that evidence from across the country and around the world concludes clearly that if BRT is going to be successful, it needs to be rapid. And to be rapid, the buses cannot run in mixed traffic. BRT must run in dedicated lanes. Therefore, as you choose among the several design options for BRT and 355, we urge you to mix and match the options. You heard a specific proposal from CSG, which sounds good to me, to enable the fastest possible speed for the buses. In brief, this means dedicated median lanes for the most part. One quick last word on the importance of dedicated lanes. Bogota, Colombia is generally recognized as the home of the world's most successful BRT. There, they absolutely only do their BRT on dedicated lanes. There's a bunch of other stuff there that I'm not going to bother with. I'll just do the last sentence, which is a first-rate BRT will be a twofer, enabling us to address climate change and increase our quality of life by giving our residents and workers more options beyond the current stuck-in-traffic option.
Terrific. Thank you so much, David. Thank you all so much for your testimony. Very helpful to all of us. Any questions from my colleagues? Great. Let me adjourn this hearing and begin a public hearing on a supplemental appropriation and amendment to the FY20 capital budget on FY19 to 24 CIP in the amount of $1 million for the BRT on Veers Mill corridor. Let me call up Tina Slater and Ethan Goffman. The T&E committee work session is tentatively scheduled for Thursday, July 25th, and anyone wishing to submit additional materials to the council's consideration should do so before the close of business on July 22nd. Thank you so much for joining us. I was remiss in not mentioning that Council Member Evan Glass, T&E member, is representing us at the NACO conference nationally in Las Vegas tonight, so he is unable to be to attend, but we are so fortunate to be joined by T&E fans, Council Member Juando and Katz and Friedson. Ms. Slater, please begin.
It means fanatics that we're here.
Fanatics.
I was going to say
fanatics.
fanboys, but I'll Ms. Slater.
Good evening, council members. I'm Tina Slater, Montgomery County Sierra Club Transportation Lead. Sierra Club supports the moving to FY20 funding for preliminary engineering of both the Veers Mill corridor and Route 355 BRT, but I'm only going to talk about Veers Mill. The approved Veers Mill corridor master plan seeks to establish Veers Mill as a multimodal complete street for people who walk or bike or take transit or drive motor vehicles. It's a very important corridor in the county as it provides a direct connection between Rockville and Wheaton commercial centers. It also connects the two ends of WMATA Red Line, and it's one of the few east-west connections in the southern part of our county. Among the reasons we urge pushing forward with the project is climate change. We want to increase transit ridership and reduce transit travel time, thereby attracting more transit riders and hopefully enticing people out of their cars. Queue jumps at busy intersections and transit signal priority will reduce the bus travel time, as I understand it, by 33% over current buses in mixed traffic, which is a big change. This is a very transit-dependent area with lots of affordable housing. BRT would increase transit reliability for the residents and employees of this corridor. Another vital part of the plan is improving safety for bicyclists and pedestrians. And we definitely need this as there have been multiple fatalities and many roadway injuries along this corridor. So please construct all the sidewalks and the interim bikeways, many would be on existing adjacent roads, as well as protected intersections so people can safely access BRT stations. And finally, to improve compliance with There is an existing bus-only / right-hand turn-only lane a little bit south of Randolph that goes to Newport Mill Road. And I will confess, I don't know how many months I drove in that lane before I noticed that there was a sign that said bus only or right turn only. So I would hope that by painting the lane to make it clear that that's a bus-only lane, and maybe enforcing the right turns by putting cameras on buses similar to what the cameras we have on school buses might assist in enforcement. Thank you very much for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you so much. Mr. Goffman.
Oh, there we go. Hi. Yeah, I'm Ethan Goffman. More than a decade ago, Mark Elrich proposed a rapid bus transit network that would revolutionize transit in Montgomery County. We now have a less ambitious version of that plan with only 3 routes, yet the county has been able to fund just one of them. More than 3 years ago, I served on a Citizens Advisory Committee for the Veers Mill BRT. We ultimately decided on a more modest version of the BRT, at least initially, that would get much of the bang of the more ambitious plans at greatly reduced cost. The hope was that the plan would be quickly funded, would be successful, and would lead to more ambitious efforts. Today, this affordable version of a key part of the stripped-down BRT plan remains unfunded. Montgomery County seems intent on proving itself the paralysis by analysis county that makes bold plans but never quite gets around to implementing them. Meanwhile, the Amazon headquarters have gone to Arlington, Virginia, which has spent decades actually implementing easily accessed public transit and smart growth. Indeed, every dollar invested in public transit provides nearly $4 in economic growth, according to the American Public Transit Association. We are missing out on an economic opportunity. Economic benefits are not the main reason I'm testifying today, though. I'm testifying because Earth, as a habitable planet for humans, is threatened by climate change and other environmental dangers. Funding BRT is one tangible way to get people out of cars and lessen congestion to help attain the narrow window scientists warn us we have for drastically reducing emissions. With transportation now the #1 cause of emissions in the U.S., Montgomery County has a moral obligation to lead with innovative projects. We need to fund BRT now. Funding BRT is also a social good. Many young people cannot drive, and many seniors cannot do so safely, but feel they have no choice. Low-income people must spend hours on their daily bus commutes, and we're in the middle of a surge in pedestrian and bicycle deaths, worsened by the large number of cars on our road. Driving should not be the only viable option for so many people. BRT will allow families with 3 cars to downsize to 2 and families with 2 to go down to 1. I know the county is short on funds, but failing to invest in our future will only worsen our tax base. Furthermore, solo car trips cause many problems that the wider community pays for, such as pollution, congestion, and accidents, while parking enjoys enormous hidden subsidies. A modest fee on even one of those areas, such as parking, would more than pay for itself in the social and environmental. Also, real quickly, think about extending it to Silver Spring, because that would connect it with a future Purple Line, and many people are commuting from Silver Spring, large number of new commuters. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Goffman. Any questions from my colleagues? With that, our hearing is adjourned. Thank you all so much for your help tonight.